Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome to the NOFO Live Show, where I, Sunitha, along with my two co-hosts, Tracy from Miss Tracy Kessler and Kelly from NOFO Endless Summer, we hop on every Friday and talk about all things North Fork. I am at the tail end of my vacation, so I am still coming live to you from Florida. It's been a road trip, so I'm going to be making the long drive down there, and thankfully we missed, I don't know if it was tropical storm or Hurricane Nicole, whatever level it was at. It was windy and rainy, but thankfully we missed the brunt of it, so that was great. It's definitely a new experience to be in November, walking around and loving it. So I totally understand why people make the trek to get away. Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you and Tilly. How's Tilly doing?
She's good. Today is her 10-month birthday.
Oh my God. Happy birthday. She's adorable. You're going to have to you're going to have to tilt the camera so she's more in the view.
Okay, hold on. There we go.
Oh, there's the gorgeousness. I just love how she's sitting upright and doing all these things. I was watching your stories yesterday.
I know. She's really, she's actually, we have her in a little walker and she walks backwards. We haven't started walking forwards yet, but she walks backwards.
Oh God, it's so cute to watch them explore and learn new things, and just ta-da, you can tell in the eyes they get it, right? That if they do this, this happens.
You know, I was thinking about how this show has really cataloged the different phases of her life, right? Because at the beginning,
totally,
our followers didn't even know. I was like breastfeeding her during the show. She was a little nugget, and then it became like she was sleeping while we were doing the show, and now she's up before mommy is and ready to start the day.
Well, sometimes she was projectile throwing up and the viewers couldn't.
Yes, sometimes that was that too.
I remember one day after the show, you were like, I think she just threw up on me.
Yeah. There was definitely one day where I was like, diaper change, be right back.
Wait, that reminds me, I need to shut this door. Hang on a second.
Okay. I see Kelly is joined. Oh, there she is. Hi, Kelly.
Yeah, no, I already added her before I left. Yes. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Good. How was your trip?
Oh, I like your hair. What's going on with it?
I just blow dried it like 2 seconds ago.
There you go. I have this genius plan of showering. Before the show. I don't know why, so my hair is always like that.
Oh, nice. At least you get the shower in before the show.
Well, I feel like it's not like anybody can smell, so I don't know why I wet my hair and damp it.
Sunita, I missed where you are. Are you in Florida or where are you?
I'm in Florida in the Tampa area, which is where Hurricane Nicole was, or hurricane or tropical storm or whatever it was supposed to.
Still there.
Oh, I think I'm never coming back, honestly. If I didn't love the NOFO sunsets so much, it's a very different but nice experience, for winter, I should say, because yes, it is good. And like I said, I've never been on a road trip. So this is the first road trip I've taken, like a long distance road trip, and especially doing it with my hubby, so there were a lot of wondering of how it would go, but it's been awesome, I must say.
How did you pass the time? Did you play any like road trip games? Did you find any deep, dark secrets out about your husband that you didn't know?
Well, since we moved, we've been doing a lot of construction to the house. Not construction, but tweaking to the house. So there's a lot of planning and thought process and plotting. So there was a lot of that discussion and dreaming of, we could do this, we could do that.
Nice.
His garage has always been unfinished. So we were kind of designing, maybe sheetrock would be nice. Maybe insulation, So that's what we did. It was a lot of planning our future life.
Nice.
So as you can imagine, it was very animated, but it was fun. What's going on over there with you girls?
Not too much. We're getting ready to go to Disney. The kids know. So
okay, yeah, you told the kids. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. They're very excited.
Well,
I have never been so unready to go on a trip. My husband's shaking his head in the background. We went to Disney last year and I was packed like a month before the trip. Literally, I don't even want to show you. This is my house right now. Like This is what it
Morning.
looks like here.
Morning.
Morning, Tom.
Morning.
How's everybody?
Hi, Tom.
Good, how are
Very
you?
good.
All
How are
right,
you?
all right.
We're talking about vacations. I feel like you were on vacation recently too, weren't you?
Yes, my wife and I went out, and we went out to Colorado to visit our oldest boy, Tom, and his wife, Amelie. Spent a few days camping in Moab, right on the Colorado River, some rafting on the river, and some other great adventures. And then he suckered me back to his house to do his kitchen countertops.
Of course he did.
A dad's job is never done.
Dad's work is never done. No, it isn't.
Hey,
but
if you're gonna share a name, you should get more perks, I think. That's awesome. Well, welcome, Tom. We're so excited to have you on the show. For those of you who don't know, for lack of a better word, I guess Tom is the Village Blacksmith. I mean, it's not a real blacksmith shop. It's more a blacksmith demo shop. But we'll let you tell us all about what you do in Greenport and how you got started and what's going on over there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So we're part of the East End Seaport Museum here. We're a little blacksmith shop that sits down at the bottom of First Street, right behind the red schoolhouse that goes back to the 1800s that you see next to Aldo's Coffee Shop. So if you just make that turn off of Front Street, head towards the public bathrooms, and you'll see me right on the side of the road there. And that's how most people find the Village Blacksmith shop. They're heading to the public bathroom that's just behind me in the park. Yes.
That's the tagline now. It's going to be "Need the Village Blacksmith."
Yeah.
Find bathroom.
Yeah.
So
now you're open.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to say you're open weekends, correct?
We're open on weekends. We're closed right now, but we will be open on Thanksgiving weekend, starting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But right now we're closed for the weekends. I'm taking a little bit of a break to physically recover from the busyness of demonstrating, sometimes for as many as 6-7 hours a day, because even though we're a demonstration shop and we're a museum shop, I run it like a real working blacksmith shop. And when people enter the doors to the shop, they see me working, and I work the entire time. I've got all kinds of little projects that I make in front of people. Most of the projects I do can be completed in 15 to 20 minutes, and they give a really good scope of the blacksmithing skill set. The shop that I work out of here, well, that is part of the East End Seaport Museum. And it's been around here now for 23 years. It took the place of the original blacksmith shop that was here from 1910 as a blacksmith shop. But the building itself was here from 1850. So this shop is replacement for that old building that we lost. She's very interested, yes.
She is. She's just super excited.
Yep.
She's like,
Kids come
1850?
in
What?
here, their eyes just light up as soon as they walk in. Now, for when I define kids in this shop, it really falls into two categories. Young kids who are like, wow, I've never seen this before. And then old men who just want to walk right past the gate and come back in here and start playing with fire. So those are the two people. We have to keep a gate up to keep the old guys out, not the young kids. So we've been here for 20 years.
Is blacksmithing in your family history? Like, how did you become the blacksmith guy?
I was wondering that too.
Yeah, I'm addicted. Nobody in my family does this but me. In the summers, when I'm in here slaving away and, working in the heat and demonstrating and having a fantastic time, I love it. My family's on their boats and they're enjoying their weekends, and they're on Fire Island, and they're here and they're there, and having a great.
They don't know what they're missing. They don't know what they're missing.
No. So it's not my family. I am a person who, at a young age, got really very interested in old trades and tools. My family took me to Colonial Williamsburg when I was a young kid. I loved it. I went from shop to shop and saw, everything from the blacksmith shop to the cabinet shop to the wheelwright shop, all these different places where I was just really drawn to this. How do you work with these tools, and how did they do these things back in the old days? And so I've always gravitated toward that type of stuff. I've had a long relationship with Halleckville Museum Farm up in Riverhead. And I've done all kinds of woodworking demos and lessons there. with my green woodworking, which is an old style of woodworking that predates the Industrial Revolution, where you would make chairs and all kinds of things 100% by hand, no power tools used at all. So from there, I just went into a whole bunch of other different activities, and blacksmithing was one of those. And I cobbled up tools years ago, and I started hammering away in my backyard. After the first half hour, I sat down on a log, and I said to myself, I must be out of my mind. This is the hardest activity I've ever. I thought my neighbors would call the fire department. There was so much smoke billowing out of my backyard. But I kept at it, and slowly but surely, I did get really pretty good at it. I've always been very good with tools, so swinging a hammer was not foreign to me at all. I understand the way materials move and work, and so I picked it up rather quickly, and I was demonstrating, I guess it's going to be almost 6 years ago now, at Halleckville during their fall festival, when Alexa Seuss, who's our brilliant gold and silversmith here in her shop, Common Ground, right around the corner from me, she comes over and she's chatting with me, and she shares that the previous blacksmith, who had been here for a number of years, had decided to retire from the shop, and the museum was on a search for another blacksmith. I sent a casual email just to the museum. I didn't know anyone at the museum, told them who I was, and I've been here now for 5 or going on 6 years. And
Wow.
it's been a relationship with the museum. The people at the museum are fantastic. And, just in here on the weekends, working away and keeping blacksmithing in people's, in their eye. And, a lot of people walk in and they say to me, oh my gosh, I'm dying off. And then I get the opportunity to educate them that it really is not. The amount of people who work from forge to anvil around the world and here in the United States, it's a lot of people, and it's growing by leaps and bounds every single year. If you would have told me when I started doing this, Amazon didn't exist, but you can buy tools and forges and things off of Amazon to do blacksmithing. I scour every barn and antique shop. Craigslist, okay? Craigslist was the first opportunity I really got to go out and find tools, because they're not that easy to find. Blacksmithing has been
I think to your point, a lot of people, I think there was a shift coming, but it really was accelerated during COVID, that a lot of people are getting back to their roots of making things and homesteading and, wanting to have their hands busy rather than always being on TV, watching TV or on the computer. So I think that there's definitely been a shift in things. Do you find that a lot more people are interested in what you're doing?
There is a big shift. My generation, I'm 65 years old. I grew up during the, quote, wonder years in suburban Long Island, millions of kids all over my neighborhood. You walked out of the house and there were 10 people to play with. That doesn't exist so much anymore, but I do see it a lot in a community like Greenport, which is a very, very special and beautiful community for, things like that. But yeah, I mean, my generation grew up in the convenience generation where, we were marveled at the fact that food was suddenly, you could get it easily. Or I remember standing online at, the first McDonald's on Long Island and waiting to get this fabulous fast food. What was this? Macaroni and cheese out of a cardboard box. And everything in our generation was convenient. And now we see our children, my children and that generation, making more of a push back to wanting to be closer to the origin of things. So, how many people like we do it, at the farm, the CSA, trying to promote small farms and get them. People like, Holly and Chris Browder and Browder's Birds and Eight Hands Farm. And you go all over the North Fork and you find all of these places that are now more centered to the earth. And that is also happening with the trades. Paul, who was our previous blacksmith here, original blacksmith, Paul was here from 1923 to 1987, retired when he was, did not leave an apprentice to take over the shop, because we had modern day welding by that point, and nobody was going to work as a village blacksmith, and kids were going to welding school. So you saw some of the trades starting to slide off because of modern technology, which is natural. That's what happens. You know, we move on. But yes, people are finding it soulful to suddenly.
One of the things I'm in awe of, Tom, is when we walk into your shop. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. Is you have so much passion for this craft, and I visited there several times, and everybody that comes to visit, if it's a weekend, I definitely make sure they make a stop in there. But I feel like in that 10, 15, 12 minutes, maybe sometimes we plan in to say, okay, we'll just walk in for 2 minutes and see what it's about. But I feel like the way you wrap the history, and you're such an excellent storyteller of the history of it, and I feel like nobody I bring in ever wants to walk right out. We will stay the entire 15 minutes. I've heard the speech. I shouldn't say speech. I've heard the history and the description you give so many times. And yet each time when I walk in, I feel like I learned something new. So kudos to you for doing that over and over. And yet doing it with so much enthusiasm.
Well,
And I have to be honest, I have not gone in. So I need to get in there now.
Oh my God, Kelly. Take your kids for sure. Every time I take young kids, I know I bought my close friends once, and they were 2 little kids. I don't know if Tom will remember this. And they were just bug-eyed watching. And then in the end, Tom let them come to the back and stand closer to the fire and take some, poses and pictures. That was so sweet of you. They still talk about that visit.
Well, my son would love it. He loves tools at the age of 3. He loves tools. He loves workers, and he's also a bit of a pyro. So I think we can get him in there.
There is no element, when you talk about the 5 elements, there's no element that is more engaging to humans or to anybody, any type of species than fire. Fire is warm. Fire is romantic. Fire is dazzling. People just love to see fire, and here we are taking a material that I'm heating up to 2,000 degrees, throwing it on the anvil, and with a hammer reshaping it, and people are just in awe of that. But to get to my passion and how I engage people, I'm a retired special education teacher of 37 years. Communication is my profession. So I just take that side of my profession, mix it with the more physical side of it, bring it all together, package it up, and present it to people. Every time somebody new walks in the shop, I see that as a very brand new experience. May not be for me, but it is for them. So I give it my all. And I love to see people just get excited about this. We don't try to pretend here to be an old shop where people are going to walk out the door at the end and they're going to say, well, that's the way they used to do it in the old days. That's fantastic. And there are plenty of those museum shops around. I want people to walk out of here and say, where do I go buy those tools? How do I get a forge? How do I get into this? I want this to grow and expand and become more of people's lives. And there are so many people who do it. Artisan blacksmiths, of course, we've got farriers. They're the people who, go around and shoe horses. There are 50 such people here on Long Island. Nobody, who would know that there were 50 people, men and women, riding around Long Island, showing up at barns and shoeing horses for a living. 50. And then we have tool makers that are popping up. People like Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson sits in his shop out in Orient and makes the most beautiful knives that I see on the internet. I mean, the man is an artist when it comes to making knives. And it's not his only job. He does that as, a hobby, as a part-time type of a thing. But Johnson Tree is his business. But, we have all of these people around us who are working metal, working other materials. There are people who are working in, textiles. There are people who are working in clay. There are people all around us. And that is a real beautiful part of the North Fork, is that the North Fork has a really good base of artisans that spread out all over the place. They may be working in a shop that you get to see, like Alexa does in our shop, or like Rena does in our shop in the Weathered Barn, or they may be working out of a room in their backyard house and selling things through Etsy. But there's a fantastic foundation of artists here on the North Fork.
Something you just said, Tom, was what I was going to say about you, is that, you're self-taught basically, and this is like a hobby, But the way you're speaking about it right now, first of all, it's so clear how educated you are about it and how passionate you are about it. And that's just really admirable and hard to find. Really, it's quite admirable.
Yeah, yeah.
And Tracy, to piggyback off of that and what Tom was saying about all the local artisans, I've noticed that a lot of the local artists are offering workshops to kind of introduce people to their craft. Are you considering, or would you ever consider doing a workshop for people to attend?
So every time people walk in the shop, they get a workshop. Basically,
I agree.
you know,
I
I
agree.
people right through from the moment I pull it out of the fire to I start working it on. I take them through just like a teacher would. I take them through every single step and explain exactly what's going on. I do it in a very fluid way that they're engaged. They ask me a lot of questions. I answer all of those questions. If I was ever going to do private lessons, or our shop here is really not set up for that. And we would need more space. Right now, it's a one-person shop. We've got the forge, and we've got the anvil and the vise. That's my work triangle. It's a tight space. There are plenty of places around where you can go and get lessons, and I point people to those places all the time. We've got Theo Naz in Brooklyn, who's got a fantastic shop. He is a two-time Forged in Fire champion and does a beautiful job. He has Stephanie who works with him as a blacksmith, and Stephanie takes care of most of all of the lesson work. Theo works more on the custom knife end of it. And then there was, there's a school in Connecticut, there's a school in Pennsylvania. There are places that you can go. I'm self-taught. Never took a lesson, never worked with anybody else. Went to a place called the library and picked up books on blacksmithing to figure out how to do all of this. And then a lot of trial and error. But there are places now you can go, and YouTube. YouTube is a fantastic resource for people to get an introduction into blacksmithing. People like John Switzer from Black Bear Forge. I mean, these people are doing such a good job of sharing their knowledge that you can, if you know how to work a hammer, if you know materials, it's the type of thing that if you're safe, because you're all working with 2,000-degree heat, you can pick it up.
Wow.
So in the mini demos that you do, you usually end up creating an object from start to finish. I know you sell a couple of items there that you make in the demos. I know there's a bottle opener, and I purchased one of those shoe horse hearts. What else do you have there that people can stop in and purchase if they want to take home a piece of blacksmithing history?
Yeah, so everything I make during the day, right in front of folks, I put on the end table over here. That's our sales table, and we sell that, and that's what supports the museum. It's what provides me with my stipend. It's what provides us, I run the whole place here. The museum is fantastic, and they just say, Tom, do it. And I buy all the steel, I buy all the coal for the forge, all the tools, all the tools in the shop here are mine. So I'm really invested in this place. So I take a horseshoe and I turn it into a horseshoe heart. People love that. I make bottle openers. Very, very common. These are all common things that every blacksmith, when it comes to the holidays, starts making as gifts for their family members. And there's nothing here that's magical. Fire pokers, fire pit pokers that are long, like 3-foot long fire pit poker that people really like, because finally...
Is that the kind that's hanging behind you?
Behind me, yeah, well, those are different types of pokers that I use in the forge over here. Fire pit pokers. Ann, you want to hand me one of the fire pit pokers over there? My wife's in the room with me right now.
Awesome.
Ann did my hair and makeup today, if anybody wants to know.
She did a great job.
Yeah, she did.
You sure did.
So here's a fire pit poker.
Wow,
which is
okay.
long. And then here's a fireplace poker, or it could be a fire pit poker, but kind of what really defines it. So I make a lot of those. People like them. And then there's a shamrock that I make where I take 3 of the horseshoe hearts. I don't have any available right now. They get out of stock pretty fast. People like those. And there's lots of things that I make here in the shop that a lot of hooks, do a lot of hooks, but my hooks are very, very decorative. They have a lot of elements to them. I do a finial top. I do a twist in them, and I offer people things at different amounts. So, you know, I can make a very simple hook that I can sell for just a couple of bucks, and then I have a more elaborate hook that I sell for a little bit more. So, you know,
I love the horseshoe heart that I bought, and sometimes I take it down to the beach with me and take sunset pictures with it. I'll post one of the ones I did in the past and tag you.
Yeah. We call it, so I have tagged the blacksmith shop as the most romantic place, the most romantic shop in Greenport, because with those horseshoe hearts, I have had an actual wedding proposal here in the shop one day.
Wow.
Anniversaries that are, you know, people come in and they ask me they see the heart I make, and then they want me to put their anniversary date, they tell us their anniversary, people cheer for them. So, and even one couple, they were in their 80s and they came in the shop and it was just the two of them, and they saw the horseshoe heart, and I told them what it was all about, and they asked me if I could stamp their wedding date on it, and then they walked out the door and they stood on the outside deck and gave each other a little smooch.
Aww.
And he said, you know, we're at that point in our life where we're decluttering our home for our children so they don't have to deal with it. So it's really unusual that we would buy something like this and bring it back into our home. But she goes, this really means a lot to us. So it's those connections with people. Blacksmithing is the vehicle here. But what we're really trying to do is connect with people, because that's what everything's about, is about making a relationship with the people that you're having a conversation with. So people all the time ask me, what's my favorite thing to make? And I guess you can tell by how much I talk, it's conversation. And yak it up in here and have a good time. And, you know, even though my kids don't appreciate my dad jokes, people in the shop here who are exposed to it for just one time, they love them. Yeah.
Well, that's the perfect segue, Tom, into our five and five. So we ask you the same 5 questions of everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off and ask you, if you were going to take the 3 of us to lunch or dinner, where would you take us?
So I have a cardinal rule, and that is I don't recommend one restaurant over another here in Greenport, simply because they are all so good. Okay? I mean, if you want oysters, if you want a great burger, if you want great, you know, Turkish food, if you want more, you know, from Central America, I mean, the amount of choices that you have for food here in Greenport, it's amazing. The only thing that's missing that I would really, really want to see here in Greenport, and is my favorite dining spot, is a hot dog truck. So I'm a hot dog guy. You give me a dirty water hot dog in New York City, I am all over that. And
me too. Where's this hot dog truck?
There isn't. That's what's missing.
There isn't one.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll get on it.
I don't think you can find a hot dog truck east of not even Riverhead. You got to be in Brookhaven to get one.
Yeah, you got to go to like Huntington or Melville by the cemetery.
That's right.
I'll give you a hot tip. The Catered Fork food truck that posts up at Jamesport Farm Brewery in Jamesport has a dirty water dog with kraut and the whole thing. So
it's not one of those gourmet hot dogs, is it, Kelly?
No, it's not. It's your dirty. It's called the Dirty Water Dog. So you can head over there and get your dog.
I live in Riverhead, so my commute every day takes me right past there. It's gonna happen.
There you go. They're there every day. The brewery is open 12 to 5.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks for that tip. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Sure thing.
But of course,
Well, yeah, and Tom, just to touch on what you were saying, we're really not looking for favorite and recommendations, because like you said, it's very hard. All over the North Fork, there are so many good restaurants. I think selfishly, the 3 of us are always trying to learn new things about the North Fork and find things we don't know about. So I guess in the answer is what we're looking for is what foods do you enjoy, and maybe we haven't tried it and we want to try that. But I agree,
well, maybe
it is so hard.
Maybe Tom will give us his go-to farm stand. If you won't give us his restaurant, maybe he'll give us his farm stand.
Oh, see, now you're. I'll tell you this. I start my day and depend greatly on Aldo. So Aldo is like my go-to. He's right next door to me here. Aldo has accepted me into his shop as one of the family. And, you know, it's a fantastic relationship that I have with the entire staff there. They're all fantastic. Of course, Ann and I do the CSA over at Sang Lee, but, you know, we love Browder Birds, Eight Hand Farms, all the farm stands. You go out to Seps, you know, I mean, there's just so many great, great farm stands. You know, the North Fork is one of these places where, depending upon what you're looking for, you can drive from farm stand to farm stand and just go home with a bounty that is unbelievable. And I don't think anybody really should just stay with one, but go visit everybody, see what they've got. Everybody's got different stuff going. And what I really love about the North Fork is that all of the farmers, they really care about what they're putting up for sale. And they're really making sure it's the best of the best. And, you know, we talk about how shops curate and, you know, how they make sure that every item that you could look at in their shop is just wonderful. And, well, the farmers do the same thing. And, you know, we love the people over at Sang Lee. They're fantastic. You know, full disclosure, my daughter, when she was here on Long Island, she lives in Portsmouth, New Hampshire now. She managed their farm stand for a while, so we've got a nice little connection with Will and Lucy over at Sang Lee. But you know, people like Holly and Chris Browder, they come in the shop on Sundays and they bring JB in with them, and so you know, it's all about again connecting with people. I love to go to places where, you know, my family laughs at me and they say, you know, Dad, you're just like Norm from Cheers. Every time you walk into some place, you want people to yell out, Tom! Yeah, that's the kind of life I want to have. I want to have relations with people.
Tom,
That's a great
brewery or winery do they yell out your name when you go to?
All right, so
for that.
well, I love wineries. You know, Ann's a big wine drinker. I'm more of a craft beer drinker, and you know, so I love any winery that we go to. And again, when I say this over and over again, it's about the people. It's about the atmosphere that's created at the winery. You know, I'm not a person who's sophisticated enough to know really what a good wine is, but I'll drink a glass of wine in a beautiful atmosphere. And so you see that. You see, you know, Conta Costa. I mean, who can beat that on, you know, watching a sunset, you know, out on the lawn there that just goes right to the bluff, and all these other great places. Of course, there's always Greenport Brewery. You know, you can't go wrong with those guys. You know, Leaf Pile and everything else that they make, all fantastic. You know, I've been around long enough that I watched them actually build the first brewery in the old firehouse here on Carpenter Street. So, you know, it's all that kind of history and how people grow roots into the village. You know, I appreciate that. When I see people come in and they grow roots into the village, and, you know, going back to the restaurants, whether it's the Frisky Oyster or it's, you know, the Ian over here at North Fork, you know, Oysters, or the three restaurants, Green Hill, Anchor, and Alpina. You know, you just see people investing into the community and growing roots in the community and wanting to see the community just shine. So go ahead. What's your next one?
Well, I was just going to say, Tom, I think you're the first guest who answered two questions in one. Because the next question is, where do you like to catch the sunset? And you just told us at Conta Costa. So that good job.
Well, I do actually have two other spots for that. So for sunrises, you can't beat Orient Park. You know, if you get out, you know, even on the Causeway, if you get out into Orient, if you get out there and watch a sunrise from the tip of the North Fork, that's fantastic. And of course, sunsets, Town Beach.
Mm-hmm. Town Beach is my go-to for a sunset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Tom, I don't think we've had anybody on the show that is so passionate about what they do and so passionate about Greenport. I feel like you need to be the official spokesperson for Greenport. If there is, you know, a committee, or if there is an advertising campaign, not that we need more people to come to Greenport. I think we have enough. But
Well,
definitely I would nominate Tom to hold the microphone and talk about Greenport.
Yeah. You can't hear it right now, but outside the shop, there are sirens going down Front and Main Street right now. And that is the fire department leading the high school boys soccer team off to the quarterfinal championship.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
So they are cruising down the road right now and giving them a hero's, exit out of Greenport as they go off to compete. And
oh my God, that's amazing. That's you just gave me chills. You just gave me chills. The last question we always ask everybody is, why do you love being a part of the North Fork community? Which frankly, I don't feel like I need to ask, because this entire half hour has been you telling us what you love about the North Fork community. But that story is like exactly, we live 2.5 hours out of Manhattan, one of the biggest cities in the world. And yet we live in a place that's like shot back into the 1950s of how we treat each other, and I absolutely love it. And you've done such a great job of illustrating that for us today, Tom.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah. I want to just address, candidly, Court asked if we would make a blog post about this, and I want to make sure everyone watching knows that we have a NOFO Live Instagram account where we are cataloging all of these episodes so that you can go back and watch how to find people. Apparently she's going to reach out to you, Tom, because she wants her husband to get into doing this as well. So.
Very good. No problem.
Yes. So everybody can find our shows on NOFO Live. And Tilly's going to come see you too. She's very excited.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. I'm so happy you came on the show and shared your passion. I can't wait for the girls that haven't been there to come in, and maybe the three of us will come in and you'll make something, specifically NOFO Live that we could,
we could work something out for that. Yep, absolutely. And just a reminder, the next time people will probably see me in the shop, because we are taking a little break right now, is going to be the Thanksgiving weekend, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after Thanksgiving. But
and what a great way to spend the weekend with your family. Bring your family. It's a great family destination to go visit. It sounds awesome. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, ladies.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Yeah.
See you next Friday.
Great job. Thank you.
Bye.